Raidernation, what's good with you guys? Appreciate you checking in. I think it's about time. We're more than halfway through the season, basically going into week 12 against Kansas City. I think it's about time we talk about our boy Tyree Wilson, our number one draft pick, seventh overall in the 2023 draft. And is he living up to expectations? That's what I want to get into. But before we do, please, if you could, subscribe, hit the like button, turn on those notifications. I definitely appreciate it. And again, if you do any of those three, please like the video. Do that, and I'll definitely be appreciative. So before we get fully into the video, one thing I want to announce is the winner of my first giveaway is Derek Harris. Derek, I appreciate you emailing me. I got you back the instructions, and I'm going to be shipping out your prize very soon, and you'll be getting the tracking number as soon as I do. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate and congratulations on being my very first giveaway winner. And there will be more to come. So if you guys want to be included in any of my giveaways in the very near future, please subscribe and turn on those notifications so you know when I announce those giveaways. So let's get into it. Tyree Wilson. Let's go over stats real quick, right? Right now, going into week 12, he's basically averaging about one solo tackle and one assist a game, and he currently is sitting at 1.5 sacks. Now, mind you, we have another edge rusher out of Malcolm Kuntz, which was a third-round draft pick a few years ago, and he's sitting at 2 sacks, but he has almost 3 times the amount of pressures on the quarterback than Tyree Wilson has at this point. And so Malcolm Kuntz, being a third rounder, is looking much more promising. Now, let's take a step back. I understand that when we drafted him, Tyree Wilson, there was an injury situation going on, and we drafted him knowing that he was going to have to rehab that injury, which he did. He got a little bit of playing time in the preseason. We knew it was going to take him probably a handful of games to kind of get everything under his belt, and it looked that way. The first handful of games that he played, he looked slow. He looked awful getting off the ball. But the question is it time to kind of hit the panic button? Let me know in the comments below. Are you hitting the panic button? Do you think it's time to panic? Do you think the conversation of bust needs to happen right now? Now, let me tell you, I don't think it's time to necessarily panic, but my hand is hovering over that panic button. And I'll tell you why. I wasn't a big fan of Tyree Wilson coming out of college. Reason being is because I thought he was very, very one-dimensional. And I'm going to kind of go back a little bit. Now, one of the guys that I actually had as a sleeper, you can believe me or not, but one of the guys that I had as a sleeper back in 2019 was Max Crosby. I was extremely high on Max Crosby as a sleeper pick in the draft. Coming out of Eastern Michigan, one of the knocks on him was that he was not very big. He was not very strong. But one of the things that I liked, and one of the things that I look for in edge rushers, is your elusiveness, right? Your ability to bend, your ability to avoid in multiple ways blockers. As a defender, one of the number one things that you need to learn how to do is how to shed blockers. How do you avoid blockers? How do you get off of them? And one of the things that Max Crosby did extremely well in Eastern Michigan was his innate ability to make the blocker miss. Whether it was the tackle or tight end that was going to block him on that play, or a pulling guard, or a pulling lineman, or a fullback coming at him, he had this innate ability just to make the guy miss, whether it was he took on half a body and slipped past him, or he dipped underneath the block. He had so many ways to do it. Now, one of the big knocks that I had on him was that when he was late to making the move, or he stepped late, or if the lineman was able to kind of get their hands really on him, they ate him up. They basically tied him up, and he would lose that battle. And so one of the things that I thought was that he would go in the NFL, you'll gain a little bit of weight, you'll gain some strength, and in the right system, underneath the right coach, you could find yourself having some success. And that's what I was hoping. So that's why I thought he could have been a good, late rounder. And obviously, luckily, he we picked him, right? Did I think he was going to be an every down type of guy? I didn't think so, but I'm glad he obviously ended up being that. But I love the way that he was able to elude blockers, um, take them on and shut them off pretty quickly. I mean, one of the things that he has shown now is a bull rush, which is crazy. His ability to bull rush the crap out of the tackles, which again, that's just one of his many moves that he has in his arsenal. So let's jump back to Tyree Wilson. When I was watching Tyree Wilson's film in college, the one thing that really worried me about him was the fact that he was extremely one dimensional. Now, he was a man amongst boys in college. I kind of compared him to Jadeveon Clowney, right? He was so big, and he's athletic, that in playing at a smaller school, he wasn't at an SEC school. He wasn't, at a Pac-10 or whatever it may be. Like he wasn't, or Big 12. He wasn't at a big school. But teams had trouble blocking him one-on-one. And so he basically had a bull rush, and that's all he had. He didn't have a second, third, or fourth move because he really didn't need it. And if you go back and look at his highlights, right, I looked at 3 or 4 game films of him, full game films, and I never saw a second, third, or fourth move. Never saw it. It was always a bull rush. He was able to just manhandle the guy in front of him. But what offenses started to do, which a lot of offenses do now, is they run read options, right? Well, they will let a D end, a D tackle go because, one, you are struggling to block them one-on-one or be able to handle them with a standard run scheme. They will run, read options. They'll run a zone where basically the backside DN, which is where Tyree Wilson will usually play, you basically read off of him, and based on what he goes, if he dives inside, quarterback keeps it. If he stays in line with the quarterback, you hand it off to the running back. So he's the read guy. You don't even block him. Well, he was so athletic, he was able to actually make a ton of plays unblocked, and that's what was on a lot of his highlight films. Is that he's either bull rushing the crap out of the guy in front of him and getting to where he needed to go, or he was unblocked. And he's making a play just because he was fast, athletic, and he's such a lengthy guy, he can cover ground very quickly. Well, that's not going to find success in the NFL because these offensive tackles are just as big and just as athletic. And that's where I thought he was going to struggle. Now, could he develop certain, moves and stuff? Of course. But that's hard to do. That's hard to do when you have created such a natural habit. And that's where I struggled to like the pick at 7, especially with a lot of guys sitting on still available, right? Jalen Carter was still available. Devin Witherspoon was still available. Christian Gonzalez was still available. And those were all guys that we could have needed or could have used. And they're currently doing extremely well. Christian Gonzalez is hurt, but before he got hurt with New England, he was doing well. And so it's hard, right? It's hard because us as Raider fans, we have seen so many busts. We have seen so many misses, where we pick one guy, but we could have gotten this guy or that guy, and that could have changed the face of this franchise. We've done this so many times that I hate to know that it's possibly happening again. And I said in the beginning of the video, yes, I get Tyree Wilson, he was hurt. But there comes a point where he needs to start seeing flashes, right? I think it was either against the Steelers or the Patriots where I started to see some flashes, but then all of a sudden he regressed. All of a sudden he disappeared. I'd like to see him just get that little percent better every single game, and I'm just not seeing it. I'm seeing him almost regress more than anything. And so, again, am I hitting the panic button? No. And I understand that there's a lot of fans out there, I see it all over social media where they're smashing that panic button, and I think it's a lot of just emotion, right? It's pent up emotion because of the amount of busts and the missed opportunities on other players that we have missed in the past. We've hit on some, right? We've got Josh Jacobs, Khalil Mack, Colton Miller. We have hit on some, but we've missed on a lot. And I would hate to see it happen again, given the fact that there were some studs on still remaining in that draft. So, let me know in the comments below. That's kind of my take. I'm not smashing that panic button just yet, but my hand is hovering over it because I just don't see the things that I think of a good edge rusher should have. I don't see him having any ounce of it. I mean, you go back and look at all of our games so far this season. I have not seen a secondary move. I see a bull rush. That's it. I am seeing him just trying to man guys up and muscle them up, and it's not working. The one sack that he had, it wasn't because of him. It's because Patrick Graham, our defensive coordinator, dialed up a damn good blitz. He had Marcus Epps come up on the inside on the tackle, which at the snap froze the tackle because the tackle has to protect his inside gap. It's the closest threat to the quarterback. It's the quickest lane to the quarterback. So that tackle had to hesitate for a second. Marcus Epps faked the blitz and then dropped back, which allowed Tyree Wilson to get a quick step. He beat the tackle off the edge and got the sack. It was a great drop by Patrick Graham. It wasn't necessarily Tyree Wilson. So that's why I'm somewhat hitting the panic, but I'm not hitting it, but my hand's hovering over it, and I'm very cautious. I'm watching him every single game to see if I see flashes because I haven't seen flashes since like week 3. So, again, let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you're hitting that panic button or you want to give him some more time. If you can, again, please subscribe, hit the like button, turn on those notifications, and if you could do anything, please like the video. That helps me, and it goes a long way. So I appreciate you guys sticking with me. Let me hit you real quick some Raiders trivia. So look at the screen down below. Raiders trivia. Who is the all-time winningest coach in Raiders franchise history? If you know the answer, I appreciate you. Put it in the comments down below. As I say all the time, right? Raider fans, we are ride and we die hard. But an educated Raider fan is the best Raider fan. So put your answers in the comments down below. I appreciate you guys, all you guys that participate. Appreciate you. But also let me know what you think of Tyree Wilson more than halfway through the season, going into week 12, going against Kansas City. I hope he has a day, and I hope he proves me wrong. But let me know what you think. All right, guys, appreciate you. Until the next video, I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.